Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. And welcome to another episode of The Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I'm super excited about our guest today. She's a certified hypnotherapist. So I'm going to read her bio and bring her on. Kristin Dwan is a certified hypnotherapist, author, Reiki master, and owner of The Healing Woods, where she works with people wherever they are in the world via Zoom. Kristen specializes in soul-deep healing of the subconscious and ancestral level to release you from the blockages you have that keep you from the life, love, and joy you yearn to experience. She is your guide through the world of shadow work to make sure your subconscious mind is in alignment with what you consciously desire in life so it can actually happen. That's kind of important. Kristen found her introduction to Reiki and the path of transformation over 25 years ago by dying and coming back to life in a burn ward and receiving skin grafts for third-degree burns over 30% of her body. Wow, can't imagine. Okay. Going through this lesson showed Kristen the huge difference between thriving in life versus merely existing. And she has been thriving ever since. So without further ado, let's meet Kristen. Hey there.
Hi.
So it's funny, when we first spoke, I remember you told me this, and it's still, every time I read it or think about it, it still just blows my mind. I have a friend of mine who actually, she died, and when she came back, she left a part of her soul on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. So she's been going through so much crap now. And we did a soul retrieval with Shoshana, who will be on here in probably a couple of weeks. And so she's beginning her, I guess, healing journey, but she kind of toggles on the veil, which I have no concept. To me, I couldn't even imagine. So tell us about you, all the things.
Yeah, soul retrievals are very important. You don't even, not even just when you die and come back to life. You don't have to do that in order to benefit from a soul retrieval. But definitely when you have been to the other side and decided to come back like I did, it's very important to make sure that you call it all back. But yeah, 1998 was the year of dying and coming back to life for me in the fire. It showed me what a gift life is, And before that, I didn't really know what a gift life was, nor did I even see myself as a gift. It took literally losing it and fighting for it to fall in love with myself, with the world, with even my existence in life. Because before then, I was a very dark person, lots of issues. And this fire came through.
We all have issues, right? So
yeah, it's the human existence to have issues for sure.
Yes.
But that fire came through to not only destroy my home, destroy my skin, destroy that life, but to purify. The element of fire purifies everything it touches. So I do feel that I was purified through that. Yeah. That
is, so I'm going to say crazy, but it's not crazy. It's, so when you came back, what were you doing as far as work before that?
So before the fire, I was in retail management. And so I always was a leader, right? Even through not loving myself and hating life and all that, I was able to, hold a job and become a manager in retail. After the fire, that was taken away because they were telling me I wouldn't be able to walk and you better figure something else out for yourself. And what's interesting is as I was laying in the burn ward, I met a woman who I didn't know. She drove my friend there to go visit me. And she saw me smiling. I was so excited to get out of the burn ward and write a book and do all the things I always wanted to do, start a band. And she said, "Are you in sales?" have you ever been in sales? And I was like, no, actually, I need to find a job when I get out of this burn ward. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And so she got me my first job in the advertising industry as a, lowly assistant walking, on the first path through the ad industry. And I went from sales assistant to regional sales manager, in the 12 years that I worked in the advertising world.
Nice. So what set you on this path?
So even though I was in the advertising world and I was a manager, I had a corner office at one point, I always did what I do at the Healing Woods during the weekends and evenings because it was my soul's purpose. There was an energy that came in to the burn ward when I was having what we call a dark night of the soul. I had, been resurrected, and I was thinking to myself, why did I choose to come back? I'm laying in this burn ward. They're doing skin graft after skin graft, taking good skin from other parts of my body, putting it on the burns. Why did I choose to come back for this? And I spoke to my surgeon and I told him how excited I was about life and I wanted to move forward. And he basically said, well, I'm happy you're happy to be alive, but we can't let you out of here until you grow some skin. And so he basically told me I would be there for probably another month receiving skin grafting. At that point, I called out for help to whatever would listen. And I said, I know that I'm strong, but I need some help here. And at that point, I felt this energy come into the burn ward, lift me out of my body, take me back. And it was the first time that I didn't feel pain. I felt like there were hot irons on 30% of my body where all of those burns were. And after this energetic cleansing, it dropped me back on my bed and I still had the burns. I still looked like Freddy Krueger. And the heat was gone and the pain was gone. So at that point, I knew, all right, there's something out there. I don't know what it is. I can't name it. I don't know who it is, but there was something out there that helped me. And I need to find out what that was. And after I got out of the burn ward, about a week after, the surgeon said, wow, you turned the corner, you're getting out in a week instead of a month, which is what he told me before this energetic occurrence. Wow. And so when I got out, I went on a journey of going to shamans, going to crystal healers, angel healers, like literally any energy work I could find. And that's the first time I found Reiki. And Reiki felt as close as I could get to that divine intervention that happened within the hospital. So even though I had my job, right, and I was on that upward path, right, climbing that ladder, I also climbed the spiritual ladder right next to it as well. And my office was always the office that people came in to calm down. I had fountains going, I had plants, I had crystals, and, I was doing thousands of gosh, so much stuff, $1 million deals, and around me is crystals and and plants, and people would come in like ready to cry. As anybody who works in office knows, there is a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and they would just want to sit with me for a minute. And what's interesting is after I left the corporate world and decided to do my business full time, because it really started to explode in 2012. A lot of those people who would come to me and get little Reiki bits here and there became some of my first clients when I did it full time, which is beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it kind of came full circle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you, and I'm sitting here and I have my moonstone and because I just had mindfulness today. And it was so funny, I was holding the crystals. I had the moonstone in my left and the quartz in my right. And after the mindfulness, they were so warm. Mm-hmm. But the quartz clear was like hot. Mm. Like it felt hot. I was like, that never happened before. So it was kind of interesting. So I'm on my own little spiritual jaunt at this point, trying to figure a lot of stuff out. But so when when that energy field, came in, I kind of, so, for people listening and watching, this is, yes, we're into the woo piece here, but it's true. There's like this energy that happens. I don't experience it as deeply as, you did, because I was in a different, situation. But, for me, I know being in somebody's presence in 2 minutes, I could read their energy. And it's, that's a gift I've been given. But, for people listening. So, let's talk about the hypnotherapist piece, because that's like a whole, there's like Reiki, which is energy. And then there's the hypnotherapy, which is not, energy. So how did that come about? Because that's a little different.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. I don't know.
It is. It's different areas of healing. Reiki would be more energetics, right? And then the hypnotherapy is dealing with your subconscious mind, which is 88% of your brain power. But I do want to go back just 1 second to the woo of Reiki. So what's interesting is when I started 25 years ago, sure, it was considered woo. Now it has been scientifically proven, like literally scientifically proven, that sending Reiki from a distance across an ocean, one of my Reiki masters, Torsten Lang, he took it upon himself to actually go into to employ scientists, not a wellness center, not a yoga studio. He actually went to scientists, and they took the water. They did like pictures of the water, of the crystalline properties of water before, during, and after Reiki, and there was always a positive change within the water. And he chose water because humans are created with water. Sure. So if Reiki is changing this crystalline, energy of the water, like it's literally changing us as well too. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yes. And thank you. And I say woo because a lot of people don't know how to process it. There are some people that don't believe what we believe or how we believe. And, so, they call it woo. Mm-hmm. And when we talked, I told you, I consider myself like witch light, right? Like I have my little stuff going. But it's like, for me, and I say the word, witch, and it's really, for me, it's a spiritual journey. It has been, I was raised Jewish, but I don't believe in organized religion. So I don't follow any religion, right? I just don't. And then when I think of a higher power, I think of, I'll say God, but, to me, it's the universe or whatever greater power there is out there. And then when it comes to my own stuff, there's definitely energy. I mean, I go for Reiki. I try to go once a month. And the last time I went, and this was weird, like this never happened to me before. The last time I went, like I was deep. Like I never, normally I'm aware, like I'll, she'll talk to me or, whatever. But this time I was like, whatever. And when I came back, or when she said, okay, get up now, I sat up. And I didn't feel like I was all the way in the room. It was the weirdest thing. I was like kind of looking around. She goes, I'll give you a minute to fully come back. And I was like, what just happened? Never experienced it. And she was like, you kind of left and came back. I didn't die, but I went somewhere and came back, and I had worked with a Reiki woman for like 2 years, and it never, like I felt good after it, but she didn't feel right, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it was like my energy and stuff, and I started seeing feathers and like all the things, right? But there was something, and for whatever reason, universe stepping in, I was late for every freaking appointment. And so finally she was like, if you're late again, we're not doing this anymore. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's in my calendar. So I put it in my calendar for the time that I thought that we discussed, and I didn't look at the text messages, and I was late. And so she fired me, right? She was like, we're not doing this anymore. And I felt really like lost. I was like, what am I going to do with that in my Reiki? What am I going to do with that in my Reiki? But then when I realized that, everything happens for a reason, because not being in her presence, I guess, or in her energy changed a lot of things. And I went on a different journey. And it took me 2 years to find a new Reiki person. And I like her energy. And so she, but just to kind of put it in a consumable package, right? It is an energy healing. It's like you go in and, like Kristen said, it's not woo, it's actual science. So it is, factual that you feel a hell of a lot better once you do it. Each time you do it. So, so thank you for that clarification, because you're right. And so getting to the hypnotherapy piece of it. So we only use 12% of our mind?
Yeah, if that. Some schools have thought actually say 5%. So it's a small percentage. So that is where we make our conscious decisions. It's where we analyze. It's where we have our willpower. It's where we just understand the world, right? And express ourselves is with the conscious mind. Then we have this 88 to 95% that has our core beliefs. It has our emotions, and it has the actual deciding factor of what's going to really happen in life. So anytime, when I was building my business, it was very conscious. I made the decision. I do what I do at this desk that I'm sitting at right now. Nobody can do what I do at this desk, but almost anybody could do what I did at that corner office desk. You're just pressing buttons and making sure stuff happens. I mean, anybody can do that. But no, not everybody can do what I do here. So I knew consciously that I wanted to make that transition from corporate to a more heart-based spiritual business. And there was the beliefs, right, that my parents gave me. Don't do anything too weird. You can't be an artist. You won't make money. You know what I mean?
Of course. Don't be a musician. That's what I heard. You'll never make money being a musician.
Yeah. I'm a musician too. Yeah, I had that too, right? So all of the things that I loved and had a passion for were wrong. Like, you can't make money that way. So that's why I started becoming a manager at like House of Fabrics and Michael's Arts and Crafts, because I could at least be near the stuff I loved as an artist, but yet still do that thing that makes the money, So what I needed to do was really go reparent myself in a way, right? The subconscious mind is created between the years of 0 and 8 years old. So everything that you're taught by your parents about yourself, about love, about money, about even family stuff. Like, I remember hearing all the time, well, this family isn't the Rockefellers. And it's like, when you're told that all the time through your formative years, then when you start to run a business, you have that limiting belief, like, well, I can never make that much money. I mean, maybe enough to live. And I had to like cut through that, right? Like burst through that self-given ceiling, that glass ceiling that doesn't even really exist. Because when you create your own business, what I actually learned when I reparented myself is the universe is the limit. No $sign, right? So it's all about, like, when you think about the subconscious mind, we 100% we can change what's in there. We just have to know how to go about doing it and work with somebody who is trained and getting you to a state where you can be your own parent. You can reparent yourself around love, about money, about your self-worth, whatever it is, right? I'm going to use myself as an example. So at around 8 years old, my parents divorced. So I heard a lot of arguments about money, right? So money became this scary thing. Mom and dad are yelling about money again. Am I safe? What's happening? Also, dad left. And so to an 8-year-old, I didn't understand he left because, he and mom just didn't work anymore as a couple. He left me is what my little 8-year-old believed, right?
My 6-year-old self. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So as these amazing full grown witches that we are today, we know that's bullshit, right? But that little 8-year-old who's in the subconscious mind does not know that. So what we say in the hypnotherapist world is, your subconscious mind is like that inner 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old running your life. So when things don't go your way, what did she used to do, right? Mine used to eat. Right. And so I got to a point where I was over 400 pounds because that was just set in me as an 8-year-old, you eat cake to make yourself feel better. And so when I was over 400 pounds, I needed to start to do something to save my own life, literally. Right. And so I decided to use Reiki, but more so hypnotherapy to really change these habits. The habits live in the subconscious. That's 88 to 95%. Willpower is that little 5 to 12%. So sure, you can tell yourself, I'm not going to eat the cake. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do the right things. And that's that conscious part. But if the subconscious believes that eating cake makes you feel better and it saves you, guess what's going to rule out? It's going to be the habit. So I had to change my habits.
Okay. So, let's talk about the hypnotherapy piece. You were saying that we only use 12 to 5% of our actual brain power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the brain is split up into 3 different sections. So 5 to 12% is the conscious mind. This is where we make our decisions, where we analyze things, where we have our willpower. And then we have the subconscious, which, as we say in the hypnotherapy world, it's like your inner child, basically. It's where your beliefs are, it's where your emotions lie, and it's where your habits are. So willpower, is and decisions, I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm going to be a good person in the world. I'm going to create the life and love that I want. That's all 12% of the brain. But the inner beliefs that we learn as a child, maybe we experienced a divorce in our life, right? And at that point, we learned that maybe love is not safe, or we feel abandoned by a parent that left. Then that becomes this belief about ourselves. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. That gets stuck in that subconscious. Mm-hmm. And so if something emotional happens, it can completely take us off our course, whether it is good or bad habits, right? Making money, getting yourself out there. Or in my case, what I used hypnosis to save my life from was I was over 400 pounds and I had the habit of eating cake when something emotional happened, because my dad left my mom when I was 8 years old. And to me as an adult, I understand why the relationship didn't work. It wasn't me he was leaving, but the 8-year-old inside of me felt completely abandoned and not good enough. And so when that gets stuck in that subconscious, it's like this record that just keeps playing over and over again that you're not aware of consciously, but your actions and your emotions and the way that you feel about yourself and others comes into play with that. And the subconscious isn't, I don't want to paint the picture of it just being out to get you. It's not. Right. Your subconscious mind makes sure you're blinking, make sure you're breathing while you're asleep, make sure your blood's flowing. It's literally there to keep you alive. The perpetrator in this is actually the critical mind. The critical mind is like a gatekeeper between the conscious and the subconscious. And this creates itself around 9 to 11 years old. And if you think back to 9 to 11, that's when you start to want to wear your own clothes, listen to your own music, right? My mom at 5, 6, 7, 8 would dress me in pink dresses. And I'm at 9, 10, 11, no, I listen to The Cure. I want to wear black.
Yes.
So when that part gets activated around that age, that is there to make sure that you don't consciously make a decision that is going to impede your life. So when you think, I'm going to build this business, I'm going to make this amount of money, I'm going to, do this thing, go speak in front of this audience, right? It's like, that's a conscious decision. Then it goes through the critical mind. Maybe the critical mind goes into the subconscious to make sure that this decision is going to be okay. And if there's like, you were, in fifth grade and everybody laughed at you when you tripped on your way up to speak in front of the class, that's kept there. So then it makes you afraid to speak in front of this audience, right? It's so interesting. This critical mind is there to make sure that you're not making bad decisions for yourself, when really the decisions you're making are going to escalate you in your business and your personal life and in health in general, right?
Wow. That is really interesting. Okay, so there are, entrepreneurs listening to this, and we know why you decided to do what you did. But, like, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs or people thinking about becoming entrepreneurs in this case?
Yeah. So, I had many years where I juggled both, where I had my job, and then I had my work. And that's how I differentiated them to myself. So my job was that corner office. It brought me a sweet check. Like, that's my job. My work is what I really feel a passion for. It's what I was put on this earth to do. And my advice, through juggling both of them, I literally talk about the universe. I had a lot of talks with the universe, and I said, use me as your tool. Like help me open these doors so I can do my work and release the job. I will never tell anybody, quit your job and start a business. Like, that's not the way to do it whatsoever. You want to make sure that you actually love doing what you think you want to do first, right? And make sure that it's going to work. Make sure that you find that niche of that person, those people that you want to work with, and make sure that it's actually something that's sustainable for you. And the only way that you can actually do that is to kind of dip your toe in. But when you dip your toe in and it feels good, you got to keep going in as well. You can't just keep that toe dipped and then keep doing everything in the work or the job. You need to take time to harness the energy of that work. So for me, for a long time, I was doing, 9 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever it ended up being that day for my job. And then I would take clients for the Healing Woods during the evenings and weekends. So yeah, just always making time for it. Schedule your work as if you're scheduling, your most important client at your job.
Nice. I love that question because we always get so many different, perspectives, right? So thank you for that. I really like that answer. I'm so intrigued with this hypnotherapy thing. So walk us through, what does that mean? What does it entail? I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So with the 3 parts of the brain, right? So hypnotherapy focuses mainly on the subconscious. So when we meet, I will, we'll usually meet for an hour. For 40 minutes of that hour, we are consciously talking back and forth, because what I'm trying to, and I'm asking you questions to take you deeper into your beliefs, into what you want to be creating in your life, or what you want to be stopping if we're working on habits, right? And so I'm going to be writing down every single word you say, because the true magic of hypnosis is not downloading something from YouTube that has random thoughts and messages on it. It's right. A hypnotherapist really asking you pointed questions that your brain comes up with answers. Because when we do the hypnosis portion, which is roughly 20 minutes of the hour, I'm going to be reading back to you within the journey words and phrases that your brain came up with. Because when your brain hears itself spoken back to it, it takes it in as truth. And when your subconscious takes something in as truth, 100% of your brain power is on board for that. Wow. So that is the huge magic of it. Definitely.
Okay. See, I always thought, because everybody, I mean, I know it's not like hypnotizing somebody and, you're going to talk like a chicken, although that would be funny. But I think a lot of people have a misconception of what hypnosis really is.
Yeah.
I know I don't fully understand it. And
so the talking like a chicken and barking like a dog and all that stuff, that is stage hypnosis. And that is completely different than like being a certified hypnotherapist, because they're not trying to change anything. They're trying to make a mockery of you and have an audience laugh is what's happening with a stage hypnosis. A hypnotherapist is there to create that state for you so that you can make some actual change. And by the way, you are hypnotized every day of your life. Have you ever, there's natural hypnosis happening all the time. Have you ever been driving and you get to your destination, especially it could be home, and you don't remember turning, you don't remember stopping?
Yes.
Yeah, that's hypnosis. Driving is hypnosis. Have you ever cried watching a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're watching lights on a screen, but you're bringing up that emotion. That is hypnosis. Have you ever turned on your computer, started looking at stuff, and an hour goes away like that? That's hypnosis.
Happens with this podcast every time. I mean, honestly, it's like, I know there are a lot of conversations that I have. So I told you I did mindfulness today, which was funny because, as I'm doing mindfulness, I have like these work fires all of a sudden, and I'm like, and then, my plumbing issue and all this other crap that was going on today. And I was like, okay, so before each meditation or whatever, we always pick cards. We pick 4 cards at the beginning of our session from, 2 tarot and 2 oracle decks. And sometimes a card will just fly out. So of course I'm going to, look at that one. And last week when we did it, the tarot didn't want me it wouldn't let me shuffle. Like I literally was shuffling it and my hand was like going, why isn't this working? And a friend of mine was like, they didn't want to be read. That's, you just open the deck. If you go to shuffle, they don't want, the message is elsewhere. But today was, I'm like sitting here trying to do it and I have all of these distractions. And so we just started laughing. It's like, I am not being very mindful right now. So I just let everybody know, leave me alone for an hour, because we were already, a half hour in. I said, I'm like in the middle of mindfulness and I'm really not being, mindful about it. And like people don't understand what that even means. And, for me, if I can, because my mind is constantly going, it's just, constantly going. And if I get that hour and a half where I can really do the inner work, right? And like quiet the mind and do the things and hear the messages and all of that. That's really important. And I think a lot of people need to do that. And when I hear you talk about, asking all these questions to get, the answers that, that people need to hear when they're in a different state, to me, that's just mind blowing, because it makes sense, right? It's like, hearing, because I feel that our subconscious thoughts still come into our conscious, because I know, I'll think of, there's shit that I'm thinking of when I'm first waking up. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? So that's got to be, because that is not a conscious, like I'm not sitting there going, oh, okay, or 3 o'clock in the morning if I can't sleep and then I'm finally dozing off and I have a thought. It's like, where did that come from? But then what I find from that, and I don't know if this is related, but what I'll find is if I'm working out a problem or a solution to a problem, and I wake up in that state and I start thinking about it, it's like, and then I've solved something without even realizing that I solved it, until I realize that I solved it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, I call it the pillars of manifestation. It's right before you're going to bed and right when you wake up. If you are conscious about what you're thinking, you're setting goals for yourself. I will set my goal for my subconscious to work through something in my dreams, because dreams are when your subconscious really works through things. Dreams are very telling, right? So nightmares are actually really positive, because especially when you're doing inner work with yourself, because your subconscious is then going to speak out to you. The imagery of dreams, it's the language of the subconscious, and dreams don't always make sense. But the pillars you want to look at, the signposts for dreams, are: how old are you? Like, is it set in college, your college dorm? Is it set in your childhood room? How old are the people around you? Like, if you're dreaming of your parents, do they look, how old they were in the 70s, or do they look like they are right now? Right? Like, see what era of life your dreams are showing you. And then not so much what's happening in the dream, but how you feel in the dream and how you feel when you wake up. So if you have a nightmare where somebody's chasing you and there's dogs barking and just weird stuff happening, and then you're feeling panic when you wake up and your heart's going, congratulations, your subconscious mind is literally venting out feelings of panic so that you can put something beautiful in that place. So if I have a nightmare and then I wake up, I immediately put on one of my recordings that I self-hypnotize myself with, or I just lay there and I plant in what I want using Reiki or using just voice, So yeah, those are the two magical times. And that's when I tell my clients to listen to the recordings that I give them, because we'll do the hypnosis live, like when I'm with them, but then I also record the hypnosis so they can either listen to it as they're going to sleep to really water those seeds that we planted, or first thing in the morning when they wake up, so they can actually be focused on where they want to be focused for the rest of the day.
Wow. That's interesting. I hope everybody who's like watching this is finding this as interesting as I am, because this is like, wow. Well, and that's the beauty of what I love, what I do, is that I get to speak to all different kinds of people who have all different kinds of, like, I'm not going to say career choices, but, all different types of modalities, and all different types of, industries that they're in, and all different kinds of, whatever. It's definitely been a bit more spiritual, I'm going to say, the past month. And it's still going to continue down that route, I think. And I guess you guys are listening to this in August, so probably like August. But, what I find really interesting as I subconsciously play with this is the best thing that they ever made. It's like a poppet ball. And anyway, but as I subconsciously play with this thing, but what I find really interesting, especially as like, a business owner, there's so many things that come into play in our day, right? So, I'm working with an intern right now. And, she's 21, and I'm teaching her things. So she'll submit something to me. And in the beginning, I was like, either I would correct it, but then I was like, no, you're supposed to be learning. So I'll send it back to her and say, if you own this business, would that be good enough for you?
Great question. Yeah.
And if not, or if you don't know, what don't you know? And then let me tell you why it is or why it isn't good enough. And not that her work isn't good enough. Her work is good, but she wants to, be doing a specific thing. And if she sends me something in the vein of what she wants to make her career, I guess, and it's, anybody could do it, it's like, nope. How about, trying to do this? So for me, I believe in, because I've just had so many bad bosses that, for me, I want to be a good leader. right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a boss. To me, it's like we're all on the same team. I happen to own it, but we are all on the same team. And so, so for people that are listening that are seasoned entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of them out there, or people that are even in the C-suite, and there's like, you know, what's an obstacle that you have gone through or are still going through, and you've either come out the other side or you're still working through?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me personally, I'd say karmic struggle through life was always self-love, like being able to even be seen on video, I've spoken, live in front of audiences to like 500 to 600, and then online, 4,000. So, but I got there by really working on myself through that self-love point, right? Like that from 0 to 8 years old, that subconscious belief about myself, if there's something in that subconscious about who am I to say this thing, who wants to hear me, writing a book, publishing my book, that was a big one too, because every artist is going to be your own worst critic, right? And I would write this book over and over again and add to it and take things out and like, who's going to want to read this? Guess what? I put that book out, I published that book, and so many people have like called, emailed, or even just stopped me out in the world and just said, my God, that book has really helped me. So we need to get out of our way, no matter what level we're on. And there's that saying, another level, another devil. So I don't care if you're in C-suite. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. Like there's going to be a devil that's telling you maybe you're not good enough. And that is always in that subconscious mind. So I worked on myself to be able to physically release 160 pounds through changing my habits, changing my beliefs about myself, and, exercising and eating the right foods for myself. And as I started to transform physically from, 160 pounds ago, then I felt more better about myself, being out in front of audiences and actually speaking and doing these wonderful things that get me to the next level. So yeah, there's always there's always an inner child, no matter how high you go up the ladder.
There's always that voice, right? Something that you said that was really, really interesting was, that this is like the weirdest thing. I have these birds outside my window that are just like sweeping on the floor, and they're sweeping. It's freaking weird.
Is it the hummingbirds?
No, the hummingbirds they're coming and they're fine, but these are like bigger birds. Actually, oh my God. I just got, okay, I'm going to tell you something. Well, now I'm sharing with everybody, but I'm gonna share this. So today is we're filming this July 3rd, and it's my Harley's Rainbow Day. The day after she died, and we never have them on our property, a mourning dove came on the property, and I knew that it was her because of all the different, like she was eating grass. Like this bird is eating grass. Birds don't eat grass. And like I have this whole thing on video, and there's a hummingbird. And this bird right now just kept coming to the window, and it's the mourning dove. So I think it's Harley saying hi. Which is just kind of crazy. This is all a little crazy that you're all getting to experience this with me. This is like my heart right now is kind of. Anyway, but what you said about the formative years, so from like 0 to 8 or 0 to 6, and my parents got divorced when they were 6 years old, and after they got divorced, I had some stuff happen to me, and my way of dealing with it was running away. And what was really interesting was until 2.5 years ago, I didn't realize it. I was talking to somebody and they were like, his name is Jeff, and he's like, dude, like, think about when you were 6, like, what happened? Like, what happened to that, little girl? And I was like, oh, how did you react with stuff? I ran away. Mm-hmm. And then every single move, every single step that I took in my life made sense. Mm-hmm. Like nothing, not that it didn't make sense before. I mean, obviously it didn't, but I never thought about it. Mm-hmm. And then with thinking about it, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so so I can see 100% how, that all works. And I love that there's people like you out there that do this, because I think it's so important. Even like a small reality, because I don't think, I have so many friends that are like, oh, I had such a great childhood. I'm like, nothing ever happened. No, nothing. Okay. So I know one person who was like, well, I was picked on a bunch in school. Mm. And they are amazingly smart and amazingly successful. And and I see them standing in their own way. And I'm like, you got to go back and look at how did you react when all of that stuff was going on? Mm-hmm. And she won't talk about it, but I bet if she would, that she'd be moving a hell of a lot further ahead than she is, faster.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like people think like, well, my life is great now. Or I didn't have like a huge trauma, it doesn't take a divorce or, losing a parent. It doesn't take that. It could be teachers. It can be brothers and sisters. It's not always parents even. It could be kids at school. And so my favorite question to ask somebody like that, if I were speaking with your friend, is I would say, what did you make it mean about yourself back then? Right. And then that kind of brings them a little bit deeper into, oh, well, it made me hide at recess and I didn't want to be seen. And that those kind of things. Then they realize, oh, okay, well, that's kind of what I do in relationships now. Right.
But I don't want to be seen. That is amazing. So, so how does somebody work with you? Like how, what is the process of, starting to work with you, or like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So usually I say, take an appetizer, right? Because working with me one-on-one is a deep dive, right? And so there's important things, kind of like what you were talking about with, working with a person with energy and you didn't really feel them. So I always make sure people feel me first, right? Like what it's like to hear my voice, what it's like to have hypnosis with me. So I always give a free download of hypnosis, which I've given to your listeners as well. So they can follow that link and receive their hypnosis. It brings in feelings of peace during any chaotic moments. And there's lots of chaotic moments lately in the world, it seems.
You think? We did a whole podcast last week that got a little political. And I usually don't.
Yeah.
I mean, look, everyone knows the way that I lean. It is what it is, but I never get political the way that we did last week. And that was before the fucking Supreme Court ruling. So imagine if that would have been this week.
Right.
So
I give that so you can experience the voice, experience who I am. And then, I would do one session. Now, here's the thing. One session of hypnotherapy is not going to completely change everything that's happened for decades, right? But what it can do is really start the forward motion towards either stopping the thing that you don't want to be doing. I've helped hundreds of people lose weight, stop smoking, stop drinking, like the things that are getting in the way of their progress, health-wise and emotionally, Or if there's nothing that you want to quit necessarily, it's about manifesting too, stepping into your greatness, finishing the tasks you need to finish, but your mind goes all over the place. There's literally thousands of different things hypnosis can help a human being with, and I'm here for all of them.
That is awesome. And there are a lot of people, I mean, myself included, clearly I have a little bit of ADD. It's funny because I think ADD or ADHD is good for entrepreneurs because they see everything, like they see the whole picture.
Bless you.
Sneezed on the truth, like my mom said. But at the same time, we easily get distracted, right? So it's like I'm recording this podcast right now. If you like the fact that I'm able to focus right now is because everything is like going off, and I'm trying to, just like focus here. And I've seen so many people juggle so much stuff, and they don't even know how they're doing it. And in mindfulness today, one of the things that we talked about was, you can't multitask. Like we think we can, but we can't because, how did she say it? Like changing the channel on the TV. You're still missing a part of that program. So as you're switching channels, you're still, you're not still where you were. Now you're somewhere else. Now you can get back to that, but you're still taking away from that. So I thought that was a really good analogy. But I don't know. I think about what you do and how you help people, and I'm not going to say recalibrate their mind. It is kind of a recalibration, right?
I'm helping them reprogram their own subconscious to be directed towards what they want to actually be happening in life instead of like all over the place, right? The analogy I usually use is like, you've got this garden, you've got this seed that you've planted, whether it be business, health, love, self-love, whatever it is, you plant that seed, and then you've got the garden hose, which is your time, your emotion, your energy, your focus. Imagine little holes in that hose, and then the water's going all over the place and maybe not going to the thing you want it to, right? So with working energetically with people and doing hypnosis, I give them a tool, right? I leave them with a tool that they can listen to that helps them really ground and focus on what it is they want to be putting that time and energy towards. And here's the thing, in the subconscious mind, it is reparenting, I call it, instead of reprogramming. Like, I can't program your mind. You have to allow it in. I can't tell you to do what you don't want to do 100%. And that's why when we talk, we consciously talk for those 40 minutes about what you want to be doing, where you want to be, what's in the way, what do we need to believe instead? That is where the magic happens, when that inner child is like, instead of like being the anchor that keeps you right where you are, they're like, oh, maybe I should release this grip and allow my older self to guide this boat, Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Okay. So there are other, hypnotherapists out there, right? So what is your differentiator?
So yes, there are so many different hypnotherapists out there. When I was vetting hypnotherapists for myself, like before I became one, I wanted to make sure that I was working with somebody who I understood and got energetically. So, I would say that's why I always give the free session, or, that free download, so you can even see, do I want to hear this voice? Because there's certain people where their voice will be like nails on a chalkboard, and you want to make sure that, you're feeling that voice. Also, I want to know, I want to know how much they've studied, right? Because there are weekend things where you go for a weekend and you get a certification for hypnotherapy after like 8 hours of training, right? I've taken 2 years. Wow. I went to hypnosis college. I went to the only accredited hypnotherapy college in the United States. So that I think differentiates me a lot. I have had thousands of hours of training. Thousands.
That's awesome. And then where can people find you?
I am the owner of The Healing Woods. You can go to thehealingwoods.com. And I'm also on all the socials. The Healing Woods on Twitter, also, or I guess it's not Twitter anymore, X. Also Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, I'm more active on my personal profile. So it's Kristin Dwan, CHT, which stands for Certified Hypnotherapist.
That's very cool. I'm trying to think of how to. So I guess you said when they first start working with you, you give them like a little bit of a teaser. You have a teaser for our audience, and we'll be sharing that link in the show notes so that you all can go, and there's a link that we'll put in there and you can click on it and it'll schedule a little bit of time with.
Well, it's not scheduling a time. It's a download, right? So it's a download that they can listen to anytime. If 3 a.m. they're up and they're feeling, like they need something to anchor them, they can listen to that right then. So it's a gift of a download that they will receive. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're getting a free gift of a download. So be sure to click on that in the show notes. And I can't believe the hour goes like that. Like everyone, I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago and they're like, oh my God, an hour. And I'm like, it
goes so quickly.
I don't see how people do 30. I could never do a 30-minute podcast. Mm-mm. Like personally, there's no way in hell. Like I've been on them and I'm like, that's really impressive. Like I can't do that. I think I talk too much to do that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, which I know
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
No, absolutely. And we'll do this again. And I promise that all of the distractions will be off or something. I got to figure something out on how to not. I think honestly, with all the crap that happened today, my brain is like in 20 different places. Usually I have a calm day and then I come in and I do this and it's fine. But I have like, is insurance going to cover everything because they're going to have to go in and like rip up my floor. And so I'm definitely a little distracted. So I apologize for that. But, so the last question that I ask and actually before I finish, what I would like to do is have you come on and do a hypnosis thingy or whatever you said. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So we'll schedule that.
Yeah.
But the last question that I ask all of my guests.
I have a gift. Thank you.
You are a gift. Thank you.
And so are you. You're a gift too.
Oh my God. I'm a mess of a gift today. Okay. So
I love it.
I'm the present that somebody took together and like slapped together with a bunch of tape today and like slapped a bow on top and went, here you go. That's but no, the last question that I ask all of my guests, before we close is what lights your fire?
What lights my fire? Helping people really lights my fire. I feel like that is why I chose to come back to this world after dying, because I needed to first help myself so I could learn how to help people. As a child, I always wanted to heal the world. That was my big thing. I'm a triple Aquarius. So anybody who knows anything about astrology, you're going to know, triple Aquarius, she wants to heal humanity. And what I have learned as an adult now is you have to start with yourself, which I have. I have done like 30 plus years of work on myself. And now I feel that I'm really ready to get out there in a bigger space to help not heal people. I can't do that, but give them the tools, give them the inspiration to heal themselves. So that's what lights my fire 100%.
That is awesome. Kristin Dwan, thank you so much for joining us. Hang on one second. I'm going to say goodbye and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you once again for hanging in for an hour plus. I really hope that you're finding my guests as enjoyable as I am having them on. I think they're each amazing in their own right. And I love what Kristen does. So I hope that you click on the link and get her freebie. And I also hope you find her on all the socials that are in the show notes and connect with her. And thank you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget reviews. We need reviews. I know today's review is going to be like she was really distracted, and we could tell. But, really go leave a review. The more reviews that you leave, the more we move up in the ranks, and that's what we're trying to do right now. So I appreciate all of you, and until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.